Good afternoon. It's once again 5:30 in the p.m. on Friday, and of course, this is your host for the next 25 minutes of Hotline 21, Danny K. Davis, U.S. Representative, 7th Congressional District, State of Illinois. Well, let's just jump right to it. There are a lot of interesting things going on all around the country, all over the world, certainly in Washington, D.C., certainly in local politics. I've had a wonderful week of being home for an Easter recess, and it's just been great. It's been great because I've been about as busy as you can possibly be. I've been as busy as a bee. I've had some great days meeting with lots of people all day long doing things. We had a wonderful time out on the west side yesterday. Chase Bank gave a $3 million grant to a group, West Side United, to work with implementation of some new plans that a group of hospitals have put in play. It's a real gigantic piece of effort designed to change health status in the communities that are their primary service agent areas. And they've determined that you really can't change health status unless you also change economic status, which means that they're going to be trying to help people pull themselves up economically. There are training programs. They're going to be making use of local vendors and small businesses. I'm excited about it. That's at the local level. Of course, at the national level, we have the politics of partisanship continuing to take place. The Mueller report came out redacted, so that means it's an amended report. It's not the full report. Democrats, including myself, are saying, look, give us the whole report. Don't give us a report that has been altered or changed. Why shouldn't the American people have the opportunity to read the whole report? If there are some sensitive things in it, then perhaps those things would not have been in it if they didn't exist. Let us know what exists so we can make our own decisions and our own determinations about it. But it's also Good Friday, and those of us who believe in the good book, this is a holy period for us because Jesus was crucified, and on the third day he was resurrected, dead and buried. The third day he rose from the dead. He ascended into heaven and sitteth at the right hand of God, the Father of Almighty, and from whence he should come to judge the wicked. I believe in all of those things. And so I'm excited about Easter. I may not get anything new. When I was a child, we always got something new. Even if my parents had virtually no money, we would still figure out a way to get something new for Easter. At least they would figure out a way. And of course, we'd have our little Easter speeches and all those kind of things, and we'd go to church and have Easter eggs, and it was a great time. And so I hope it's going to be a great time for you. If you have children, I hope that you will take them to church and give them the experience of this season and let them know that they can have hope. And even if they can't see what Easter might be, they can feel it. And sometimes just being able to feel something is just as good as being able to see it. But let's go right to the callers and see what we've got and who we
Hello,
got.
Dr. David.
I am fine. How are you?
Okay. I've been following the news about the Mueller report and all that, and I'm trying to figure something out, okay? Now, the people that been around the president, when he wanted them to do certain things, in terms of balance and everything, they told him, no, I'm not going to do it. It's unethical. It's wrong. And not long ago, we had a governor in the state of Illinois that they took the federal court basically for running his mouth. Now, if you go out here and try to attempted murder, you go to jail if you found convicted. Now, here this man telling people to do things unethical, and and his people saying, no, Mr. President, I'm not going to do that because it's wrong. It's against the law and all that. And I don't understand what is the problem. Mueller report, let's just say, he stopped short. And he said it's up to the Congress the one to impeach the president. His report, as I look at it, is very, very detailed. Everything is backed up. All that stuff people had to take, is under oath. And those comments the president made, it was written, and he didn't have to do no oath, sworn testimony. Now, I wonder what is the problem, and plus the fact his people, no ifs or buts about it, met with a foreign government. And that don't look good. It don't smell right. What is the problem? That the Congress won't even think about going through impeachment proceedings.
I think the president is going to force everything to the hilt, and the Supreme Court, in many instances, will have to make rulings and determinations. I also think the court is kind of one-sided, although sometimes it does appear as though there is a little movement back towards the middle. But I think the court, in many instances, will agree with the administration. And I think we'll be fighting this issue right down to the end of the 2020 election. And that's when it will get resolved. And so I don't expect much resolution of things until we have an election. It seems like if you're going to beat somebody, you've got to do it at the polls, because if you don't, it probably won't come out right. So we'll just fight.
I thank you for your clarification.
Thank you indeed, and we'll go right to the phone if we've got another caller. We'll go right.
David.
I'm good. How are you?
Okay, I'm glad you, Nancy Pelosi, and the rest of the Congress at the White House came to the lady defense. I think her name Ula or something like that, or Uba, Ola.
Well,
I don't know her name. I might got it wrong. And I think y'all and then people was coming out threatening her. Like I said too many times, if it was me did that, you would call the police on me. But I think Donald Trump has got something to do with that.
I think it's unfortunate that we are spending so much time talking about these kind of issues, because at the end of the day, hungry people will still be hungry. Sick people will still be sick. Disadvantaged people will still be disadvantaged. I would much rather be figuring out how can we feed the hungry? How can we create jobs for individuals who are unemployed? How can we make sure that babies get milk? But it is what it is, and we'll spend a great deal of time talking about it, and then hopefully we can get on with the business of finding solutions to some of the many other problems that are facing the American people. But thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, and we'll go right on to the phone. We don't have any reason not to take our callers. We got another call coming. Come right on. Well, we'll have one in a minute, I'm sure. Well, we're in the aftermath of perhaps one of the most historic elections that we've had in the city of Chicago. I know that President Tony Preckwinkle was just here a moment ago with Gator Bradley, and I'm sure they talked a little bit, if not a lot, about the election. But you know, elections are just phases of things. And so we've had the election. Now let us move on. Let us move on and get with the problems of how do we reduce the amount of violence that we still experience. There were several funerals today. One I went to, one I went by. And of course, there were large numbers of young people at both of these funerals. And of course, it meant that a young person had died, or a young person's life had ended. And we want to stop young people, especially, from dying prematurely, dying too soon. You know, I know that life goes on, and I know that we have to take the good with the bad and take the bad with the good. But I'd rather have as much good as we could rather than the bad that we are experiencing. You know, life is so precious. Living is so precious until we need to do everything that we can to preserve it, prolong it, and make it as happy and as productive as we can. But let's go to the phone and get our next caller. Caller, are you there?
Good evening, Congressman.
Okay, how are you?
Pretty good. My call is concerning, I guess the social media, and I suppose that's how all of these youngsters are getting their news and gathering in these, I guess, flash mobs. The 500 or so that was, gathered downtown the other day. What's up with that? I mean, is this going to be a hot summer of protest and violence, and what are they protesting?
I don't know that these young people were necessarily protesting. It seemed to me that they were just going downtown. I don't know if they were part of an organized effort to do anything. And you know, sometimes when you get a large number of young people together, the adrenaline will get to flowing and the behavior becomes very different than what it would be if it was just a small group. But I do think that we need to try and teach our young people that, there are kinds of behavior. My parents always tried to tell us that anytime we went outside the house, when we went out of the home, that whatever it is that we exhibited was a reflection on them. And they didn't want us to reflect negatively on who they were. So they just wanted us to act decently, to act civil, and do the things that we would want people to do if they encountered us. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I think you can express yourselves in positive ways as well as negative ways. And I think you can attempt to overcome the disadvantagement that you may experience and that you may have felt. So I'm not looking forward to hordes of teenagers downtown attempting to frighten any people or molest any people or to run over any people. So if you go down to the Loop, just act the way your parents would want you to act and the way you should act and the way you would want people to act if they were encountering you. So with that, we've got another caller. Let's just go to the phone. Caller, are you there? All right, we'll get the caller in a minute. But so I hope that we can create enough summer opportunities, enough summer jobs, enough summer things to keep our young people busy and engaged in meaningful and productive activities during the summer. Yes, caller, go right ahead.
Good evening, Dr. Davis again. My daughter is a Chicago police officer, and you brought up some things that you hit the nail right on the head. They need to have things in their neighborhoods where they can do constructive things. Our schools need to be places of safe haven. And we need to have employment. When you don't have certain things in a neighborhood in terms of, we look at the well-to-do neighborhood, one of the number one things they have recreation. When you look at a lot of places on the south side and west side, what in terms of recreation, what in terms of employment? When we start putting our money where our mouth is, we may start seeing the violence being reduced because they have something else to do.
Suppose you're a teenager and you can go swimming for a couple of hours during the day, or you can go to the library for a couple of hours during the day, or you may have a little part-time job that you can work for a couple hours during the day. Then you can read for a couple hours. Well, that takes up your time, and you don't have this idle mind. You know, we say an idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Right,
so if you're programmed and have program activities,
behavior.
Yeah, then you don't have this time to waste. You're doing something. I think some of us, I was very fortunate when I was a teenager. I loved to read. And any spare moment that I had a book in front of my face, reading it, and just I'd get carried away and wouldn't put it down. I ran into a young lady today. I was at a White Castle, and she was in line reading her book, and I just smiled and said, "You like to read, don't you?" She says, "I sure do." Caller, are you there? Go right ahead.
Yes, Congressman, it's a great day to be on God's green earth. I wasn't expecting to call today, but I noticed what something Joe said. This is the year 2019. Manual labor is no more. But if kids don't stay in the schools, they won't learn technology technology is the thing of our future. So kids don't want to go to school no more, but yet still they want to make six figures and can't spell your name. You gotta keep up with the other people in the world. Younger people from other countries come here and take our jobs. Well, we don't know nothing about it. So the best thing to do is find something you could do. Go to school, get the education, and get qualified, and then you could do anything you want to do. So let me get out to phone and thank you, Mr. Davis, for taking the call. Let me hear your opinion. I hope everybody understood what I said. Thanks for taking the call.
You know, you're so absolutely correct, and I'm glad you mentioned it because on tomorrow, we actually have a technology event for young people. We have a technology advisory committee. We had a meeting at Accenture 2 days ago, and it was just well attended with companies, people from technology companies and from schools and the Board of Education. We have something called the Technology Congressional Technology App, where young people are encouraged to participate and be engaged. And tomorrow from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, we have an event, and young people and their parents and other people will be there and will be interacting, and they will listen to presentations. And you are just so right. If you are left out of the technological world that we are experiencing today, it means that the quality of life for you is going to be much less than what it would be if you would cut yourself in. So you can actually call my office if you want to. Right now, the number is 773-533-7520, and they can tell you where the technology event is going to be. They can tell young people what they need to do to come and participate, and they really don't have to have any special thing to do it. All they have to do is just come and be a part of it. So thank you so much for that question and for that comment. We are about to close down, which means that we've got about a minute, and I'm going to take that minute to encourage you to look at Easter. I mean, the resurrection. Look at, you know, you can be down, but you can also come up. You can be depressed, you can be disturbed, but if you believe, all things are possible. If you believe, and start believing in yourself, life will give to you whatever you give to life. The poet said it this way: I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening time when I counted my scanty store. But I found that life is a just employer. He gives you what you ask, and once you have set the wages, then you will bear the task. I worked for a menial hire, only to learn dismayed. Whatever price I had asked of life, life would have paid. See you next week.